Silicon Valley is facing a crisis that's affecting thousands of H-1B visa holders right now. Tech jobs are disappearing at an alarming rate. Layoffs are accelerating, and visa holders are being forced to leave the United States within weeks. If you're on an H-1B or planning to apply, what's happening in 2026 could change your entire future. Stay until the end. This is critical. Welcome back to Immigration Fresh Updates, where we bring you honest, unfiltered immigration news that impacts your life. Today, we're talking about something deeply concerning for skilled workers and tech professionals: the H-1B visa crisis of 2026. Silicon Valley, once the promised land for international talent, is experiencing massive layoffs, hiring freezes, and visa sponsorship cutbacks. Companies that built their empires on immigrant talent are now letting go of thousands of H-1B workers, leaving them scrambling to find new sponsors or face deportation. In this video, I'll explain what's causing this crisis, which companies and industries are most affected, what your options are if you're caught in this situation, and where else you can take your talents. Let's break this down. Let's start with the big question. What's causing this H-1B crisis? Why are tech companies in Silicon Valley suddenly cutting jobs and abandoning visa sponsorships? The answer is a perfect storm of economic, political, and technological factors. First, there's the economic slowdown. After years of explosive growth, the tech industry is contracting. Venture capital funding has dried up. Interest rates are high, making it expensive for companies to borrow money. Investors are demanding profitability over growth, forcing companies to cut costs aggressively. And the easiest cost to cut? Headcount. Second, there's the rise of AI and automation. Companies are investing billions in artificial intelligence tools that can do the work of multiple engineers, analysts, and developers. Tasks that used to require teams of people can now be automated with AI. This means companies need fewer human workers, and H-1B visa holders, despite being highly skilled, are not immune to this displacement. Third, there's political pressure. Immigration, especially skilled worker visas like the H-1B, has become politically controversial. Some politicians argue that H-1B visas take jobs away from American workers. Others want to reduce immigration overall. This political climate makes companies nervous about sponsoring foreign workers, especially when they're already under pressure to cut costs. And fourth, there's increased scrutiny from USCIS. H-1B petitions are facing higher denial rates, more requests for evidence, RFEs, and longer processing times. Companies are finding it harder and more expensive to maintain H-1B workforces, so some are simply choosing not to sponsor anymore. For H-1B holders, this means job security has evaporated almost overnight. Let's count down the 7 categories of companies most affected by this crisis, starting at number 7. Startups and small tech companies. Startups have always been risky employers for H-1B workers. But in 2026, that risk has become reality for thousands of people. Many small tech companies that hired aggressively during the pandemic boom are now running out of funding. Venture capital investors are pulling back, and startups that were once valued at hundreds of millions are now struggling to survive. When startups fail or downsize, H-1B workers are often the first to be let go. Why? Because sponsoring and maintaining H-1B visas is expensive and administratively complex. For a startup burning through cash and trying to stay alive, keeping H-1B employees becomes a burden they can't afford. And here's the cruel part. When a startup lays you off, you have just 60 days to find a new employer willing to sponsor your H-1B transfer. If you can't find one in time, you're forced to leave the United States. No extensions, no exceptions. 60 days to pack up your life, sell your belongings, say goodbye, and leave, often back to a country you haven't lived in for years. This is devastating for people who've built careers, bought homes, started families, and put down roots in America. Their entire lives are uprooted because a company they trusted ran out of money. If you're working for a startup on an H1B, understand the risk. Have a backup plan. Network constantly. Keep your resume updated, and consider whether the instability is worth it, or if you should look for more stable employers, larger companies, government contractors, or industries less affected by tech volatility. At number 6, fintech and cryptocurrency companies that exploded during the pandemic but are now collapsing. The crypto boom of 2020 to 2022 created thousands of jobs in blockchain, cryptocurrency exchanges, decentralized finance, DeFi, and digital payment platforms. Companies like Coinbase, FTX, and countless smaller startups hired aggressively, offering massive salaries and sponsoring H1B visas for engineers, analysts, and developers from around the world. But in 2024-2026, the crypto winter has turned into a crypto ice age. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies have crashed. Major exchanges have shut down or drastically downsized. Regulatory crackdowns have made it harder for crypto companies to operate in the US, and investor enthusiasm has evaporated. As a result, fintech and crypto companies are laying off workers by the hundreds. H1B holders in this sector are particularly vulnerable because many of these companies are young, unstable, and heavily dependent on speculative markets. If you're in fintech or crypto on an H1B, this is a dangerous time. The industry's future is uncertain, and companies are cutting deep. Your best move is to pivot into more stable sectors, traditional finance, healthcare tech, government contracting, or industries with long-term stability. The skills you have, blockchain development, data analysis, financial modeling, are transferable. Don't wait for your company to fail. Start looking now for opportunities in sectors that aren't dependent on volatile markets. Your H1B status is too precious to gamble on an industry in freefall. Number 5. Social media and content platforms that are restructuring, downsizing, and moving away from human-intensive operations. Companies like Meta, Facebook, Twitter, now X, TikTok, Snap, and others employed thousands of H1B workers, software engineers, data scientists, content moderators, UX designers, product managers. These were considered dream jobs with high salaries, prestigious names, and pathways to green cards. But in 2025-2026, these companies are undergoing massive layoffs. Meta has cut tens of thousands of jobs. Twitter, X, slashed its workforce by more than half. TikTok is facing regulatory uncertainty and potential bans in the US. Snap, Pinterest, and other platforms are struggling with declining ad revenue and user engagement. Why? Because social media is maturing. The explosive growth phase is over. User numbers are plateauing. Advertising dollars are shrinking. And AI is replacing many roles: content moderation, ad optimization, even some coding tasks. For H1B holders at these companies, the situation is terrifying. Many people joined these companies believing they had secure, long-term careers with clear paths to green cards. Now, they're being laid off with 60 days to find new sponsors, and the job market is flooded with other displaced visa holders competing for the same limited positions. If you're at a social media company, don't assume your job is safe just because the company is well known. Start networking immediately. Connect with recruiters. Apply to other companies. Consider adjacent industries, cloud computing, cybersecurity, enterprise software, where your skills are valued and jobs are more stable. The brand name on your resume matters less than your ability to stay legally employed in the US. Protect your status above all else. At number 4, e-commerce and delivery platforms that boomed during COVID lockdowns, but are now contracting as consumer behavior normalizes. Companies like Amazon, Instacart, DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, and countless e-commerce platforms hired massive numbers of tech workers, engineers to build apps, data scientists to optimize logistics, product managers to improve user experience. Many of these roles were filled by H1B workers. But as the pandemic ended and people returned to in-person shopping and dining, demand for these services declined. Companies overhired during the boom and are now correcting by cutting thousands of jobs. Amazon alone has laid off over 27,000 employees in recent years, including many H1B holders. The challenge for visa holders in this sector is that while the companies are large and financially stable, they're optimizing for efficiency. They're using AI for route optimization, inventory management, and customer service. They're automating warehouses and delivery systems, and they're cutting roles that can be done with fewer people or replaced by technology. If you're in e-commerce or delivery tech on an H1B, the writing is on the wall. These companies will continue to downsize as they prioritize profitability over growth. Your move should be to transition into sectors with stronger long-term demand: healthcare technology, clean energy, infrastructure, government contracting. Your logistics, data, and engineering skills are valuable everywhere. Don't tie your fate to companies that are in permanent contraction mode. Find industries that are growing, not shrinking. Coming in at number 3, gaming and entertainment tech companies that are consolidating, cutting costs, and abandoning risky projects. The gaming industry seemed unstoppable for years. Companies like Electronic Arts, Activision Blizzard, Epic Games, Unity, and hundreds of smaller studios employed thousands of H1B workers, game developers, 3D artists, AI engineers, cloud architects. Salaries were high, projects were exciting, and the future looked bright. But in 2025-2026, the gaming industry is in crisis. Major studios are canceling projects, closing divisions, and laying off entire teams. Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard and immediately cut thousands of jobs. Unity laid off hundreds after controversial pricing changes. Indie studios are shutting down because funding has dried up. Why? Because game development is incredibly expensive and risky. Projects take years and millions of dollars, but most games fail commercially. In a tight economy, investors and parent companies are no longer willing to take those risks. They're cutting budgets, canceling ambitious projects, and focusing only on proven franchises. For H1B holders in gaming, this is devastating. You chose this industry because you're passionate about games, but passion doesn't protect your visa status. When studios close or projects are canceled, you're out of a job, with 60 days to find a new sponsor in an industry that's contracting. If you're in gaming tech, consider pivoting to adjacent industries that value your skills: film and animation, virtual reality, simulation technology for healthcare or military, or enterprise software. Your technical abilities are transferable, and industries beyond gaming are still hiring. Don't let loyalty to an industry cost you your visa. Adapt, pivot, and survive. At number 2, cloud computing and SaaS, software as a service. Companies that grew explosively but are now facing market saturation and intense competition. Companies like Salesforce, Snowflake, Databricks, MongoDB, and hundreds of smaller cloud and SaaS providers employed massive numbers of H1B workers during the digital transformation boom. Everyone was moving to the cloud, and these companies couldn't hire fast enough. But in 2026, the cloud market is maturing. Most companies that were going to migrate to the cloud have already done so. Growth is slowing, competition is fierce, profit margins are shrinking, and companies are responding by cutting costs, which means cutting jobs. Salesforce has laid off thousands. Snowflake is restructuring. Smaller SaaS companies are being acquired or shut down, and H1B workers in this sector are feeling the squeeze. The challenge is that while the technology is still essential, companies need fewer people to maintain it than they did to build it. AI-powered automation, improved developer tools, and consolidation mean that the same work can be done with smaller teams. If you're in cloud computing or SaaS on an H1B, you're not necessarily in immediate danger. These companies are more stable than startups. But you should be proactive. Specialize in high-demand areas like AI/ML infrastructure, cybersecurity, or industry-specific solutions, healthcare, finance. Make yourself indispensable by developing skills that can't easily be automated or outsourced. And diversify your job search. Don't rely on one company or one sector. Keep your options open, your network strong, and your skills sharp. The cloud industry will survive, but not everyone in it will. And finally, at number 1, the most ironic and painful category: artificial intelligence and machine learning companies that are simultaneously driving innovation and displacing the very workers who built them. AI companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, Google DeepMind, Meta AI, and countless startups have been hiring H1B workers aggressively. AI researchers, machine learning engineers, data scientists, computational linguists. These were the hottest jobs in tech, with salaries often exceeding $200,000 to $300,000. But here's the cruel irony. AI is so effective at automating work that even AI companies are cutting jobs. Tasks that required teams of engineers can now be done by AI models. Code that took weeks to write can be generated in minutes. Data analysis that required specialized skills can be automated. So while AI companies are building revolutionary technology, they're also realizing they don't need as many humans to do it. Layoffs are happening even at the companies leading the AI revolution. And here's the deeper problem. As AI becomes more capable, it threatens H1B jobs across all industries. If an AI model can write code, analyze data, design interfaces, and solve complex problems, why would companies go through the expense and complexity of sponsoring foreign workers? This is the existential crisis facing H1B holders in 2026. You're competing not just with American workers, but with AI that works 24/7, never asks for a raise, and doesn't need a visa. If you're in AI/ML on an H1B, focus on skills that AI can't replicate: strategic thinking, leadership, client relationships, domain expertise in regulated industries, healthcare, finance, defense. Make yourself valuable in ways that go beyond pure technical execution. Because the future of work is being rewritten, and H1B holders need to rewrite their careers accordingly. So what do you do if you're caught in this crisis? What are your options if you're laid off or worried about being laid off? First, understand the 60-day rule. If you lose your H1B job, you have 60 days to find a new employer willing to sponsor an H1B transfer. Use every single one of those days. Network aggressively, apply everywhere, reach out to recruiters, contact old colleagues, post on LinkedIn. This is a full-time job. Second, consider alternative visa options. Can you qualify for O1, extraordinary ability? Can you enroll in a graduate program and switch to F1? Can you apply for asylum or another status? Consult an immigration attorney immediately to explore all pathways. Third, look beyond Silicon Valley. Tech jobs exist in other states, other industries, other countries. Don't limit yourself to California. Texas, Washington, New York, and even international opportunities might be your lifeline. Fourth, consider returning home strategically. If you can't find a sponsor in 60 days, it's better to leave on your terms and plan a future return than to overstay and ruin your immigration record forever. Fifth, lean on your community. H1B workers are going through this together. Join support groups, share job leads, help each other. You're not alone. And finally, don't give up. This crisis is real, but it's not permanent. The tech industry will stabilize. Immigration policies will evolve. Your skills are valuable. Keep fighting for your future. Now I want to hear from you. Comment below. Where are you watching from? Are you on an H1B? Have you been affected by layoffs? What's your plan? Thank you for watching Immigration Fresh Updates. I know this video is heavy, but understanding the crisis is the first step to navigating it. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share it with any H1B holders who need to hear this. And tell me in the comments, what industry are you in, and how are you preparing for the future? Let's support each other through this difficult time. Your talent is real, your dreams are valid, and there's always a path forward. Stay strong, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next video.